Hey, hey,
Hello.
hey. How are you guys? Thank you for coming and joining us this week. And it's a double bill this week. We were kind because we're feeling festive and in the Christmas spirit. So we decided to upload for free our very first book club, which was super fun. We're currently reading the Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And yeah, it was a really great first session. And the first episode is now available for free on YouTube for those of you who haven't seen it yet. I highly recommend going to watch it. Or if you would like to come join us every Sunday.
You can join us over on Patreon. And we'll go through this crazy bardo together.
Yeah, it's good for your soul.
It is.
Book club is good for the soul every Sunday. And also the Tibetan Book of the Dead is a great way to navigate a changing world.
Yeah, very timely. Speaking
of changing worlds, McDonald's is rebranding or something, right?
They got a new restaurant coming out in America.
What's it called?
Cosmic.
Wow.
Like MC. Cos MC.
Cos MC.
So, but it's gonna like specialize in ridiculous drinks, basically.
Well, what's the difference between this cosmic chain
it's
and
not
like
going to serve
regular
burgers and McRibs. It's going to serve like
something even grosser.
It's going to cater to the boba tea generation. So these like wacky caramels and shit that you want in your coffees and all this crazy shit. Cosmics.
Do I count as part of the boba tea generation? Because I do love bubble tea.
Yeah, then you do.
Or am I too old for it now?
You're like an elder Gen Z. Or like a very
an
young
elderly
millennial.
Gen Z,
which I think
or
if
a baby millennial.
If you look on any of the what do you call it, like a demographic or whatever, you always do fit into millennial, like at the end of it.
Yeah.
So.
But with Cosmic, I'm imagining like bubble teas named after rappers that like no one has ever heard of.
No, but it's just like, I don't know. It was just
like, you know how McDonald's started naming burgers off, like they had rapper meals at one point.
Right. They had like, the whole Travis Scott thing.
Because they were trying to appeal to that Zoomer audience.
Yeah.
And it seems like with Cosmic, they're kind of leaning further into that. And also trying to cultivate, I guess, a more middle class demographic.
Did like Ronald McDonald ever like molest any kids or something? Like I feel like they did Ronald real dirty.
Do you miss him?
They had this whole gang of like quirky cartoon characters that were kind of there to appeal to kids.
Did you ever have a birth?
Is that like quirky cartoons don't appeal to kids anymore? I feel like Coco Melon has proven that like very wrong.
Did you ever have a birthday party at McDonald's?
I did. I had a birthday party at McDonald's.
As a child of the 90s / early 2000s?
Yeah, it was probably in the 90s. It was probably in 99 or like 98 when I was like 5 or 6 years old. Something around then. And I had it with my best friend who was a girl at the time called Abby.
Who the fuck is this bitch? I fucking hate her already.
Because we played Legos together.
What a bitch. What a slut.
That was my bar for if you're cool or not, was if you played Legos.
If you played Legos.
Yep.
Well, like, do you have good memories of this party at McDonald's? Like,
it was adequate. It was an adequate child's
it was
party.
an adequate child's
I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, but I think
I imagine it like how, like, you know, there's like liminal space TikToks or whatever, like really creepy and like weird characters like running around.
You know what? I hope they just
scaring the children.
I hope they do like a decent job of it. Do you know what I mean? Like this is a new line of fast food restaurants that you're setting like a tone almost, and potentially even a standard, right? Of like what like an opening of a new fast food thing on a mass scale. How should that look? What are you trying to do with that? What's the standard that you're trying to do with that? Is it mostly going to be robots? Because like advancements in everything else, right? In everything, they've already done a couple of robot locations of McDonald's. So is this going to be them like pushing kind of the innovations, quote unquote?
I don't think so. I think that
the service industry, which is also very associated with McDonald's,
quite possibly.
So, you know, I would be really, I wouldn't be surprised if it was kind of like, and it's just drinks mostly. Right?
Really? Is it just?
It's mostly just drinks, and then they've got like Hey, I'm going to be there. They've got the double sausage McMuffin still on the menu all day long. So I'll probably be at Cosmic's more than I'd be at McDonald's if we had one in the UK.
No, I honestly think it's because people now associate McDonald's with like homeless people and social decay.
I don't ever.
And they're trying to. I do, and
I
they're
have
trying
so much
to,
nostalgia wrapped up in McDonald's that it's impossible for me to associate it with such terrible things.
The last time, when was the last time? Like the last scary McDonald's experience I had was in New York. I was in Queens with my friend. And we went into, it was like 3 a.m. I think we had come back from like a comedy show, and it was like 3 a.m. and like we were hungry and like nothing else was like available. So we walked in there and this lady comes up to us and she's like, "Do you have $1?" Like in the like this scary imposing voice. I was like, "I'm sorry, no, I don't have $1." And she's like, "You fucking bitches." And I was like, oh my God, like, Jesus Christ, are we gonna, is this like a mugging? Are we gonna be beaten up? Like, what's going on here? And the whole environment just felt really sketchy and edgy and terrifying.
But then you're talking about McDonald's in America,
yeah,
which is a very different fucking kettle of fish.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's been many.
I've seen fights in there. I've seen all sorts of. It just doesn't seem like a good vibe.
There's been many a YouTube video about the difference of McDonald's everywhere else in the world and McDonald's in America.
In the Netherlands, it's all right.
In Japan, it's crazy. I hear. I can't wait to eventually go to Japanese McDonald's. It's going to be such a fucking magical time.
The Netherlands is good.
Netherlands is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Fucking even Portugal fucking McDonald's is amazing. They've got like a fucking special like egg burger because they go fucking nuts for fucking eggs in Portugal. They have eggs with everything. Like, and everywhere else other than America has an amazing McDonald's experience. America's a fucking wipeout.
Yeah, dude.
It's like F tier fast food in America.
Yeah.
Whereas in everywhere else in Europe, it's not S tier. It's not fucking Shake Shack, but it's definitely like B tier, C tier for me.
God.
It's not to be skipped on.
Well, I think they're trying to shake the brand of being associated with like poverty and abjection.
I associate it with like mornings at my grandma's and like you're
thinking of like fucking, 90s nostalgia.
The fucking birthday party I had there as a kid.
You're thinking of 90s nostalgia. You're not thinking of McDonald's in the modern age, which is like a fucking horrible place.
Wasted fucking burgers I had when I'm fucking on the way back from gigs and shit. Like, I'm not looking at homeless people. I'm there like still vibing like fucking high as shit, like from a gig I've been to or something.
Well, I think they're trying to shake that image, and I think they're trying to, I guess, maybe attract a more, I guess, middle class demographic.
They have to be the first one, like, on the moon. Let's be real.
Cosmics.
Yeah, come on. Let's be honest. And they got the money to do it as well.
Yeah, they do. They have the money to be the first fast food chain on the moon. But I don't know. I wish another thing came along and McDonald's just kind of died instead of evolving into this other chimera of trash that is going to be shoved down our throats in the like Wall-E chairs of the future. Like a direct line to cosmics will be fed like tubed into your mouth.
Salted caramel whipped fucking latte burgers straight to the veins.
Should we have a look at the chat?
Sure. Book club was awesome. Yes, it was, Sid. Thank you for joining. Gimme Toro, gimme some more. I don't know. I don't know what that means, J. George. The whole McDonald's meals, adult Happy Meal crap.
Adult Happy Meal.
Just brought back again with some no-name podcast that is still baffling to me. What?
So there's
so
podcasters are now part of these meal thingies. That's insane.
No name. What? So they brought it back again with a no name pod. We've got to Google that.
Yeah, we definitely have to Google that. We definitely have to Google that. Like,
that's crazy. I know that your mum's house was sponsored by McDonald's for a while.
Are you serious?
Yeah, McDonald's sponsored like their studio, but way ages ago before they were. Like,
are they
a big
that big?
Or no,
to the point where they would be sponsored by McDonald's.
It was before they were a kind of a big podcast, but then they were offered a bunch of money. Like $1 million or something when they weren't a big podcast, but they were still like coming up. It's kind of like a .com boom. The podcast has had several phases of this, and fucking McDonald's like basically offered them all this money, but then said, "Oh, you can't say like this and that and this and that." And
fuck you.
No,
no,
dude.
Thank you.
What, you telling me I've got to give the $1 million back because we said this and that? And they're like, Yeah, it's in the contract.
Are you telling me you wouldn't take a cosmics check if it was offered to us? with
no.
free boba tea.
Does that give me unlimited McMuffins?
I want the unlimited boba tea. Then I'm willing to compromise on my free speech if they give me the unlimited boba tea.
Well, speaking of innovations and future bearing things, maybe we can ask one of or all three of these chatbots for a new boba tea recipe, and they can develop and deliver it to us, because all of the hype that everyone's talking about, we should be seeing some pretty explosive things happening in the very near future with AI. There's a massive push at the moment through three pretty... I don't know how big Elon's company is. He's kind of inflated everything he does to the point where you're not entirely sure, like, how serious to take anything.
Well, last week we talked about his meltdown and his big old temper tantrum, and I think that's part of what we're seeing is this sort of imploded ego.
He was like railing against trying to slow AI down.
Yeah.
Only like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Because he was still having a hissy fit about not being involved in OpenAI after walking away from it.
And now he's like, oh, my new bot, what's it called again? Fucking, what's it called? The new one that's merging with X.com.
Well, Gronk?
Gronk?
Not Gronk.
Grok, yeah.
Gronk is the Emperor's New Groove. Sorry.
So yeah,
Kronk,
despite the fact that he's, obviously been railing against AI accelerationism and pretending to be this humanist whistleblower, now he has he's planning on unleashing Gronk. It's supposed to be this extra feature on X. I don't understand. X is already, I think it's like 13 quid a month for the fucking blue check mark, which is like twice the amount of like a Netflix subscription.
Almost. I think Netflix is like 9 quid.
I thought it was like 7 quid.
Nah, it used to be many years ago.
I don't know. I haven't paid for Netflix in a while because I'm a Netflix whore.
Yeah, you don't have to see the constant rise in subscription costs.
Yeah,
so okay.
Girlfriends don't pay for Netflix. We don't have to worry about that kind of thing.
That does feel like a universal rule.
It should be. It should be. What was I saying? You don't really get much with the X subscription besides, like, I don't know, the ability to tyrannize the zeitgeist with your takes and have them be like,
it's quite a powerful
rated.
It's quite a powerful weapon. Like, if you're a PSYOP specialist, it's kind of like mandatory. It's
mandatory to get
tools for the job, isn't it? So
I just can't bring myself to do it. I know it would help me or whatever. It's just like I feel like such a twat.
It's because you're not a glowy that can put it on the fucking glowy expenses. So you're like, I didn't really want to.
I'll put my blue check mark on the Soros credit card, or the fucking what's it called? What's the other one? Rupert Murdoch fucking foundation, whatever. But no, I mean, yeah.
But
so
basically, Grok or whatever the fuck it's called can do math problems, and it will think about its own existence and talk philosophy in a kind of more rounded way than ChatGPT has.
He's basically advertising it as based GPT.
Yeah, basically.
Which I think is so lame. Well, so what, you get a blue check mark, you get the ability to tyrannize the zeitgeist with your hot takes and have them be ranked at the top. And you also get to talk fucking Reddit philosophy with a fucking stupid chatbot.
The unique aspect of Gronk, or Grok. He should call it Gronk. Gronk is a way better name than Grok.
Grok.
He's shit with names.
He's shit with even X. Fucking what the fuck is that?
Even the branch that made Grok is called XAI. Like he just what is this? He's just shit. And he called his kid that terrible fucking.
He just pulls it out of it. Yeah, he just pulls it out of his ass. He's not even trying to He's not trying at all. Like he's just fucking throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks at this point.
But anyway, like one of the unique features is that it has it uses Twitter as a part of its brain, essentially. So everything that's been posted on X, I don't think that also means links. So if you posted like, oh, the CIA have done all of this stuff, and you posted like all the PDFs like in a link, to like
Grok
.pdf.
can't read the link.
Gronk, yeah, it's not that Gronk can read that PDF or whatever. I don't.
But didn't they already? They already did this. Didn't they already do this? They already programmed a chatbot with Twitter consciousness, and it ended up being like a racist, fucking crazy.
Yeah, but that was also associated with Microsoft, so you don't know if they just like took a portion of Twitter to make it racist or whatever the fuck they did. You know what I mean? It was sort of like, it was kind of an experiment to try and do that.
Yeah.
To try and push it towards being like a toxic chatbot, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But even then, it wouldn't surprise me if that happened organically, because Twitter's always been this sort of horrible race to the bottom, but especially since Elon took over the platform, things seem to have gotten a lot more just uninhabitable in terms of how the platform is and the sort of energy. It feels like you're staring into the lowest spheres or whatever. It's like,
well, let me give you the Elon Musk grilling in your accusations of that. Oh, really? Okay. Well, what comes on the For You page? What's so egregious? What's so bad? What offends you?
It's not that anything offends me. It's more that nothing I see is relevant to me anymore.
Relevant to you?
Yeah.
Well, it's not like people you follow and
no
stuff, or it's not like related to people you follow.
No, a lot of it is just like fucking trash ads, bullshit, and I know you have to buy the blue check mark in order to have a better experience of it in that sense.
Then you're doing the free to play on a game, dude, that's on a sub base. You know,
well, I don't want to fucking pay for
think about it like this, all right? The experience I have with this, okay, is World of Warcraft. Okay, World of Warcraft, you can only play up to level 20. Okay, and the first dungeon unlocks at level 20.
Yeah,
so you can only play the first dungeon over and over again, and your XP is capped, so you don't even get anything for it. Do you know what I mean? Like you're playing this game that is not in a way that is not, it's not meant to be played.
But I don't want to join an MLM scheme just to have a social media account. Like, it's not that important to me. I don't care that much.
I think this was the interesting question and precedent that he tried to set with social media, is that like, why is the expectation that you would have this service for free? That you can send messages, attach pictures. Like, the server space required for all of this stuff is not cheap to host it, especially at the scale that people like Facebook and Twitter are. And there's that common saying that like, if something is free, then you're the fucking product. And if you pay for Twitter Blue and then you don't get ads and you actually see the shit that you're supposed to see from the people you follow, that is kind of following through with the message of like, if you value being on social media and the experience of being on social media, which a lot of people are addicted to, so whether it's like they value it, whether it's like they need it, or, you know, that kind of debate or whatever, but it's like put your money where your mouth is kind of thing. I kind of agree with him to a certain extent. It's like, this is toxic shit. Everybody knows it's so toxic. Everybody talks endlessly about how fucking toxic social media is. Yeah. So that they won't leave it, even if someone would charge you $13 a fucking month and make your experience terrible. You still use it.
Barely at this point.
You still use it.
Barely.
So like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a lot of people probably still. Yeah. So like, that's how, either that's like how addicted we are to social media, or like the kind of the point. And I kind of like, I think that's fair enough. If I'm honest, charge $13 a month. Like,
really though?
Yeah. And then keep adding cool shit like the AI stuff and whatever the fuck. It's kind of an interesting play. It's a much more interesting play than be like, I want to do what Mark Zuckerberg's doing in the West, but 10 years behind. Because, well done. You're not going to do that, are you? Very well. Of course. But like doing something quite interesting actually, where like, and you know, even Meta and the way that they're doing AI, it's definitely nothing that they're saying is going to break any grounds in terms of like AGI and the sort of steps to like having like a Jarvis, which is like Iron Man's personal assistant for people that aren't like, I'm not a Marvel retard, but like, you know, I read the comics and Jarvis was in the comics as well, right? But like, yeah, to have that kind of like, oh yeah, any like a super fucking intelligence that's connected to the internet that you can like fluidly talk to, so that you can work with almost on like whatever you're doing, or like, you know, those kinds of things, like would totally change the game. Ironically enough, OpenAI is like one of the most closed platforms in terms of its technology and what it's doing, Google is as Google as ever, where they kind of say they're open, but
well,
the
Gemini
still kind of hidden.
Well, the Gemini ad came out recently, and wasn't a bunch of it lies?
Yeah,
didn't they hide? They exaggerated a
totally...
bunch of the functions. But that's the thing. So Elon, that's the thing. It seems as if all of these different AI companies are warring to create the chatbot, and then also to create the Omni platform, which is kind of what Twitter is trying to become in a way.
Well, kind of and not really. So like the potential for something like ChatGPT, where you would enter Google queries into that rather than using Google, is kind of, I think, the ideal that a lot of people had in their heads, maybe like at the start of the year or a year ago, when people started playing around with these sort of models. But then the more people think about it, the more people start to play around with it, the more kind of they realize like, oh wait, actually, because that means it's going to be filtering information to arrive at this paragraph that you've got, or link to this website or whatever. And there's an inherent bias with that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's some of where Elon's coming from with the Grok
with
stuff.
With Bayes GPT.
Is that it's sort of like a not unfactual, but not biased in any particular way.
I don't necessarily.
I
don't agree with that at all.
But that's the point, right? Is that like, yes, this would be great, so I don't have to fade through fucking websites of bullshit and adverts and stuff.
Or just use your fucking cognitive abilities like a normal person and fucking research, and stop trying to outsource your shit, which is my point.
So the point is the promise of a streamlined ability to research. So instead of literally even reading an entire, like, it's the same thing as Cliff Notes, but on crack.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, it's the library on crack.
But even then, like, there's as somebody who's writing a book at the moment, there's a difference between the detailed, rich information I get from getting sources from other books than the sort of degraded, mediated Google search, to the even further degraded, mediated, AI mediated search. You know, it depends on how deep you want to go and how much knowledge you actually want to get. And I feel like if your research process is being mediated by anything, and you're not just like looking directly, even books, like if you're looking at historical information, you have to go layers deep in that sense. I feel like it gets more degraded the more that process is like outsourced, personally. And that's not to say that it's not a useful tool at all. I just wouldn't like, I feel like the way that they're pitching it is they're pitching it in a way where they know that people are going to outsource most of their executive functions to it. And what's going on now is the war for the correct interface and the sort of dominating company is going on. And you see it with Grok and Gemini, even the lapel pin one.
Yeah, humane.
Yeah, the humane one, the lapel pin one, that the video that went viral a few weeks ago, where it's like gonna project a hologram onto the palm of your hand. Like, some of them seem really ridiculous, but it's because we're in this like weird experimental phase where they're still trying to test the interface for this Jarvis fucking companion thing that is going to become super common. I think a lot of people are going to have this like weird presence like that follows them.
It's because
and like mediates their life for them.
It's because we're in the Blade Runner B-line universe, where like in the A universe, Blade Runner's happening, and like Tyrell Corporation has this connection with Japan. It becomes like the American-Japanese empire, like it takes over the world and becomes the hegemony, which is why you see all those like half Japanese signs and all that kind of stuff in Blade Runner. Japan has always been the leader up until probably very recently. Was the world leader in robotics. And I feel like if the Japanese economy hadn't slumped at the point that it had,
they would be,
oh my god, it would be fucking crazy. And you wouldn't be there like, oh, what's going to be the interface? Is it going to be this weird thing that you hologram, or is it going to be this
are you saying
thing
that the Americans
like,
are
it would just be straight up like a fucking like
is what you're saying is that the Americans are too Sorry, I didn't mean to burn you.
Not on my nice fucking drippy fucking...
Oh my God,
Come
shut up, okay? Be quiet. What was I saying? What are you saying is that the Americans are too smooth-brained to invent the interface, and that they're showing us a bunch of goofy shit?
No,
and that if the Japanese were in their prime, it wouldn't even be a debate.
Well, no, it's what I'm saying is that like Japan were developing robotics for fucking decades before we got to the point where we are with Boston Dynamics.
Yeah.
And that if they hadn't slumped when it did in like the late 80s or the early 90s or whatever, that you would have then to this point had another 30 years of really accelerated robotics advancement beyond where we would be way beyond where we are today with Boston Dynamics, and that interface thing wouldn't be a problem because it would just, you would potentially live in some sort of like iRobot type fucking world, right? With these cute little Japanese robots doing everything.
Jake's vision of the future. You know, not the uncanny valley robots, the cute Wall-E robots.
Yeah, dude, they had like a walking robot with like Honda engines and hydraulics and shit in the fucking 90s. Like they were fucking advanced with that shit.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that shit when I was a kid and be like, Japan's the future, dude. Japan's gonna have like fucking robots. This is gonna be the fucking most next level thing. But back to the whole AI
debacle. So we've talked about Grok. We've talked about Gemini.
Let me clarify the Gemini thing.
Yeah,
because it's like, yeah, Google did highly edit the videos of the AI demonstration as it was presented the other day or a week ago.
Well, let's identify the qualities real quick of what they tried to demonstrate.
But that's my point, is like it doesn't, to some extent, it doesn't really matter that they edited that at the moment, because that's essentially what it's going to do when it's going to be in your hands. When it's to the point where you're able to use it and it's publicly available, that's the capability that they're aiming for and that will be achieved.
Well, the qualities that it was trying to demonstrate were the fact that this AI basically can recognize things. So it like sort of started by showing you like a sheep. The guy draws the sheep. The AI recognizes. No, it wasn't a sheep. Sorry, it was a duck. He draws a duck. The guy recognizes. The AI recognizes that he's drawing a duck. It creates puzzles. It creates scenarios. It gives him advice. It's sort of demonstrating its abilities as this really smart and responsive assistant that is also incredibly intuitive as well.
So where it doesn't have maybe kind of the based features of Grok, and it doesn't have the live Twitter stuff, it's basically like ChatGPT 4 plus with like a little bit extra juice mixed with a visual layer, or what they will call multimodal computing, or whatever the fuck they called it in the presentation, which basically just means it can take various different forms of information. So not just text or web pages or whatever, it can take visual information, maybe even like audio information, because Google has also been the kind of one of the leading drivers in a lot of the audio AI stuff with generating music and all sorts of other weird things like that. So yeah, I can see, and it's also as well linking visually, which I think they're trying to potentially steer up to do something in the AR VR space. Because obviously Apple is launching with the Vision next year spatial computing and this kind of idea of multimodal, multiple ways of being able to interact and interface with your machine that is not just but it is talking to it like it's a person. It is showing it visual stimulus, like from your eyes potentially, even because you're wearing a headset or one of these models. But
that's what I mean when I say we're in this sort of experimental phase where they're testing out multiple interfaces.
But think about the Apple thing is never going to be the thing that this version of it is not going to be the thing that becomes the interface. This is going to be a high-end, next level computing thing, not like my everyday life replacement smartphone thing. It's actually going to be it's going to be more focused on like making something that is every day. And Google tried that, and Microsoft have tried that, both of them unsuccessfully 10 years ago, because the computing power just wasn't there with Google Lens or HoloLens from Microsoft and Google, the Google glasses as well. So I can see them doing another push in that direction with it and merging those two things.
But think about how much this interface has like changed and affected our consciousness. Like, I guess I'm interested in how other forms of interface with technology will have an effect on us, including outsourcing your internal monologue to a machine, which is precisely how it kind of felt in that demonstration, sort of like, you know, attempting to externalize your inner voice in a way and to be led by this external thing, which is, I guess, naturally that happens as your intuition, right?
Yeah.
And your sort of impulses, whereas that's all externalized by this thing that is friendly and suggestive, and I don't know, something, it's really creepy. I don't know.
It is kind of creepy, but
it's incredibly creepy.
At the same time, even with the Gemini example that they gave, like, I'm making an omelette. Okay, if you're fucking of a type of generation, you probably picked up your phone and Googled how to make an omelette. Yeah. So the process and the physical and mental energy that it takes to do that versus go, how do I make an omelette? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
they're
just trying to make that barrier of reliance on technology so invisible that it takes zero mental capacity at all. That it becomes a total extension of your capabilities as a human being.
And that's what I find so suspicious about it and ominous. The more seamless it becomes.
It's already happened. It's already happened because like people already rely on their phone for fucking everything. It's already their wallet. It's already their GPS system.
It's still like there's still this sort of awareness that it's alien and that it's this sort of strange appendage, and we're all kind of annoyed by it, and it's cumbersome and it's gross and it's greasy and it's like
it's because it's this physical separate thing in this way. I hate talking to technology. I've never set up Siri on my phone. I have never set up Cortana on my PC. Like, to me, talking to technology feels totally fucking alien because computers are boxy fucking CRT looking things in my mind still, because that's what I grew up like, right? It's like when I think of a PC, I don't even think of my PC. I think of my childhood PC most of the time. When I think of like
that's PCs, what you're conceptualizing.
That
in
is
your
exactly like the prime form of PC in my mind. Is like the CRT,
the platonic
shitty
computer,
fucking TV looking thing that we had in the basement. Like, so for that to now go to, give me an omelette recipe. I want mushrooms today. And it fucking spits me out how to make a perfect omelette. That's amazing and so efficient and incredible. But to me, it feels so fucking unnatural and weird. Yeah. Even just being like, set a timer for 10 minutes. Like, I don't talk to Alexa. Like, any of that shit creeps me the fuck out.
Yeah, definitely.
The physical process of like, I need
pushing a button and
I need information. I need to go to this place to get information. But that's like kind of primitive.
Yeah, how 20th century of
that's
you.
Like that's kind of I think that's kind of the really big shift that most people are gonna benefit from in a large way. Is this kind of ease of use. There'll be less like, iPad babies can do everything because they were born with all of these skills with technology or whatever the fuck, and my grandma can't fucking do shit because she's of an age. Do you know what I mean? Like, the people's capability with interfacing with the modern world totally is eradicated because it's just based upon your ability to ration and use your logic and ask the questions you need as a human being. And so, in many ways, it is a really good thing. All of the way that I'm talking about this is selling it to myself. But I still struggle to use it. Like, I still struggle to use the weird things, and even in the minor ways they're implemented to.
It's because you're an old man now.
So, but I think this is going to be the big shit, another driving, dividing force in society.
Well, I don't know. I disagree. I think it will degrade people's cognitive abilities. In fact, I think that the older generation are a lot more skilled and have far more skills than the kids that are like the iPad generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's been a bunch of reports recently about kids in that demographic not being able to read, and also their IT skills are shit. You think the amount of time they spend with technology would, you know, actually make them more technologically savvy, but the most they can do is like look for videos and stuff, and like they're not like doing anything particularly complex.
I remember reading an article saying about how none of the Gen Z or Gen Alpha knows how to do file management.
Yeah.
Or gives a shit.
Yeah.
On MacBooks and Windows PCs, even in the newer Windows versions, it has the recent tab. Mm-hmm. So they just use the recent tab.
Yeah. I
and
do that
even
sometimes.
you were using your computer like that.
I'm like, I have Zoomer habits. I have Zoomer habits.
Which was like, I was so shocked.
Yeah, you gave me a big scolding and like shaming about it. I was like really.
Like, I think you had to leave and go somewhere and do something. So you're like, just upload that thing for me from my laptop. I was like, okay, where is the files? And you're like, what do you mean?
It's like, files? What do you mean, Daddy? I don't understand what you're talking about.
Whoa. This is different worlds right now.
Well, the Gen Alpha are like apparently much, much worse. So your optimistic notion that there's going to be this great divide where the old people are just going to be like dumb and skillless, and I think they'll be more adapted to this degraded reality that's going to be brought about by, because I don't have as optimistic a vision. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that these tools aren't useful. I just, I don't think that the way that as a society we are approaching I don't think the ethos we're approaching these tools with is healthy.
I think there's a lot of really high paid jobs that will become totally redundant. Even outside of like Hollywood or media or entertainment or anything like that, you think of like the most high paying, like regular straight jobs. Accountant.
Even
lawyer especially, right?
Yeah.
This thing specializes in wading through vast amount of information and then providing you advice succinctly, and then even doing potentially actions and creating voices to do actions and ring people and do things for you and send emails. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you're kind of fucked.
But that's the thing,
like,
is I feel gaslit.
Unless you're like a Johnny fucking Cochran and you're like in court and stuff, you're a bit fucked. I feel like you're like the normal little things, like even like what I had to do recently. I had to consult a lawyer for some small thing. That would be a fucking chatbot.
Yeah.
A second.
Yeah. And I think it just disconnected. Hang on, let me see.
Reconnection successful.
Hang on, is our broadcast still on? Let me
I'm not entirely sure. It says excellent, so I think we're still running now.
Oh my god, hang on, let me check if our broadcast is still on. Fuck me. How do I get to Discord on your... Oh no, we are.
No,
yeah.
Okay.
Why did you freak me out for no reason?
Because it wasn't for no reason. This said no signal and
okay,
stuff.
my bad. Okay, let's continue. What were we talking about?
That like intelligence jobs are going to be made redundant.
Yeah,
and in South Park, basically, the handyman becomes the new Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Because he's the only person in town that hasn't physical skills.
to do a job. Yeah,
and like those are the only things that people need doing anymore.
Yeah.
And I think,
but even then, I feel kind of gaslit by AI and the conversation around it, because on one hand, you have people saying, oh, it's going to take us into this like post-scarcity fucking landscape, and then on the other hand, it's going to take all of our jobs and make everybody poor and fuck everything up, and like that was kind of the fight that went on at OpenAI. And I guess we should move on to talking about Q-Star, since that's the one we haven't covered yet out of all of the
It's because there's the least information about it.
this is the most
And
encrypted, cryptic.
I actually kind of see it
Cryptic.
more as OpenAI kind of myth building around their company, and maybe even feeling like a little bit threatened in some kind of way, because they had the hottest shit image generation and chatbot on the market for a long time.
Yeah, and also
With,
the most established reputation.
Yeah.
And also like kind of clout as like, you know, the one that was this open source, public kind of, it had this sort of charitable vibe to it, if you know what I mean. And that had a lot of social like weight to it. Yeah.
But yeah, with Dolly, it was the first impressive image generation engine, and then with ChatGPT, it was the first kind of one of the first kind of, you know, artificial intelligence chatbots you could talk to. But now I feel like they're probably slipping, like through all of their probably goodwill and good willing people that, and the eyes that are also on them as well. They feel the need to not be based, not be Grok.
Yeah.
Maybe not even be associated, like attack. Maybe they can hook up to Bing.
Yeah.
Which is like something.
Yeah.
But like, you know.
The Bing chatbot sucks though. It's not very
okay.
good.
I use Bing. Bing is all right.
It's not as good as ChatGPT. It's not like, it won't give you details about the Goetia or whatever.
Yeah, but then there you go, right? That's the kind of like, that's how far they're willing to implement it within Microsoft. So that's kind of like some of the barrier. Whereas Elon is his own ecosystem, his own company, his own thing that he's doing.
Yeah.
Google, don't even need to mention about infrastructure and fucking, you know, size of company.
Yeah.
Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Not only in hardware with laptops and phones and everything else, but like down to the very infrastructure of the internet, they are like super integral to that. So the ways that they're going to be able to implement AI are going to be much more vast than OpenAI. And not only that, but yeah, they're doing this whole multi-sensory, multimodal thing, which is a big trump card in a lot of ways. Like nothing else can do that at the moment. And you know, OpenAI maybe even is doing this kind of myth building because they are lagging in some ways, is what I'm trying to get at.
They're like, we have this sentient.
We've actually invented AGI behind the scenes, and that's why there's all this drama going on. But we can't give it to you yet because we're like moralists and we're not sure.
We're the good guys.
And it's like, really? I don't know. That all sounds like a really nice story to try and like pump your fucking like.
But have you seen
the other side of your company that's not fucking open source and is trying to make money?
But have you seen who they've put on the board now?
No.
A bunch of demons. One of the guys was like responsible for like he passed some law that was integral in the 2008 financial crash. So he's an accelerationist, but in a different way. There's a couple of other people, all of them accelerationists in some form or another, who had been involved in some scandal or another. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, it's insane. Like, everything that's going on there is insane. But the Q star thing seems incredibly cryptic, and you might be right. It could just be law building in order to drum up. Like, I think what Elon Musk is doing is precisely that. And yeah,
Well, kind of is. He's actually delivered a product. People like, you know,
he's about to. It's coming.
Well, from what people have the early people that have interacted or whatever, have said it's exactly what is written about. There's no bullshit and lies about it, and it's quite decent. And it's
so like, no lies like Google.
Yeah, no, like, well, that's the difference.
He didn't have to like fabricate
that's going into
anything.
people's hands like in the next week or so. Versus Google, like, there's no date on which any of this would be a thing. It's like, hey, this is a thing we've been working on. Look at all this cool stuff that we're trying to pull together.
Should I part with the 13 quid a month and give based GPT a try?
Well, you're a journalist, so like it feels like it's just kind of tools of the trade, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, everyone. That's like, you're not the only person that said that to me. Like, everyone's like, get your head out of your ass with your fucking Butlerian jihad bullshit, Angie. You're such a piece of shit. Like, fucking conform. Take the mark of the beast.
I subscribe to Splice because I like make music and stuff.
I know, but it's like it's just gross. I don't know. I would if it's just like Twitter is just such a joke.
It's such a joke.
Like most of what's on my timeline is like hot takes and like half naked pictures of like people and just trash. And it's like I'm paying double. Well, I don't pay for Netflix, but if I did,
But yeah, there you go.
if I did, I'd be paying double a Netflix prescription just to see, I don't know, Bronze Age pervert and I don't know.
Is that who you follow?
No, I don't, but it still ends up on my fucking timeline.
The only one that you named. So like,
Well, that's what ends up on my timeline. It's like people who I don't follow or orbit at all, and it's like either the craziest leftist or the most insane like right wing people, just like the most insane polarized opinions on either side, porn, and just like I don't know, ads, all kinds of stuff. And I just can't imagine paying 13 quid a month to...
Then why are you even using it then?
I don't know, because I used to kind of like...
Because you used to be addicted to it.
I did. Yeah, pretty much. I used to be addicted to Twitter, so yeah.
And you still kind of are, and it becomes so shit that you just like still can't even just stop using it.
It's the like dark mirror that I can't look away from. You have to, I look at it to stay obviously in touch with the zeitgeist and see what's going on, but like beyond that, it's like...
With who? Bronze Age pervert?
Well,
like, that's what I'm saying. If you don't see anything that you're like trying to follow...
it hasn't given me any insight into the zeitgeist for maybe the last 2 to 3 years. So it's been a while since it's had, which is why I don't use it and why I can't fathom.
Elon's only owned it for like 6 months or
it's
something, right?
It's been bad even before he bought it. Like
right, so he's not the fault
he's not the fault or the problem at all.
Right,
but it seems to have like kind of gotten a lot more disorganized and like you're not seeing what you're subscribing to. Like before, who you followed was what you saw in your feed. Whereas now you have to go through lengths.
It was free.
Yeah, when it was free. Now you have to pay.
And they had like 10,000 employees like fucking lolling about in San Francisco getting paid wages they definitely didn't need.
Why are you trying to bully me into buying the blue check mark, Jake? Are you an agent of Elon Musk? Is that what this is?
No, I'm trying to bully you off Twitter. I think it's a terrible thing. People shouldn't be on it at all.
Exactly, I agree, which is why I don't want to pay the 13 quid.
But just get off it totally then. You don't need to be just subjected to ads and bullshit. You should be some horrible picture of like a deformed dog or something.
That's the kind of shit that like ends up on my feed.
That's what I'm saying. I would see one of those and be like, I'm just deleting this off my phone. Like, why would I ever look at this fucking thing ever again?
I mean, you're on Facebook, which is even worse.
I don't see anything like that on Facebook.
You see a lot of dumb shit on Facebook.
I don't see anything like that on Facebook.
You see a lot of dumb shit on Facebook.
Not really.
You can get off your high horse right now, Mr. Boomer Book.
It's only dumb shit I'm interested in.
Mr. Boomer Book. You literally see like ads that are like AI ads specially generated for you of like shitty consumer products with anime characters on them.
That is not true.
So that's like the rabbit hole that you're down. If we want to start exposing your shadows,
I'm not there looking. Oh yeah, I want to.
Let's go there. You are. You're literally there scrolling and shopping like like a woman, like a fucking woman. Okay.
You think because Facebook has marketplace that makes it for women? Wow.
That's you. I might be being toxic on Twitter, but you're shopping like a woman.
I'm browsing.
To the point where it has your like psychological cookies and knows exactly what to advertise.
But that's what everyone's got that. Everyone's cookies are gone.
Not me, because I'm not shopping like you. That's a swap gender dynamic. I'm being toxic on Twitter. Jake is shopping online. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see which fucking interface ends up winning out, and also which chatbot ends up being in everyone's heads.
Well, there was a really cool new VR headset that I saw come out that looks like something out of Cyberpunk. It's fucking dope. It literally looks like slightly fatter than a pair of sunglasses. So it's not this bulky fat thing that's like on the top of your head, like toppling you over like this. Like you're just like cool, sexy you with a fucking set of these things on. And like the way it works is that they basically take like a fucking 3D scan of your face and then make a mold specifically for like this bit of your face, like a bandit mask, and then that slits into this fucking VR.
It sounds
headset.
really uncomfortable.
It's not. It looks fucking ninja, dude. It's fucking sick. Let me see if I can find it.
It looks ninja.
It does look ninja. Let me see. Let's see if this is actually going to work. The old window sharing. Don't look at my BattleNet fucking username.
Oh my
There
god.
we go.
That's
Here
the
we
next
go.
thing we're going to talk about.
This is the next thing we're going to talk about. What was I going to look up?
Some weird goggle fucking pirate thing.
Hang on, fucking. Linus did a video on it recently, and I thought it looked fucking nuts. And I can just see this becoming like the future. The future.
That thing
hang on, no,
with the
that was-
three
that-
slits.
That was a fucking bulky ass one. That's the new meta one that is supposed to be really
That looks
good.
ugly.
This guy, look at this.
Oh my goodness.
Look at this.
Oh my
It
goodness.
is spenny. It's like a fucking $1,400. But it's customized for you, dude. So like, that's kind of why.
If I saw a guy in the street
Yeah, you
with
wouldn't
one
go-
of those on his face, he's a pervert immediately. He goes on the sex
you-
offenders registry.
That looks like an accessory in Cyberpunk. Like, let's be fucking real.
More
right now.
reason to put him on the sex offenders registry, dude. No.
And so I could see like a version of these which have the kind of similar capability as the Apple Vision ones, where maybe they're a bit more transparent, or like you see your eyes through it, or your eyes are projected in some way in that similar kind of Apple Vision way.
Oh, so you have like weird uncanny valley eyes.
So where you're taking information in as well, and other stuff is being projected, and this is all like micro LED, like crazy shit. So that's not transparent, but there must be like, some combination of ways of combining those two things. And then if it was as lightweight as that is real potential for like something that would be everyday, and like
I would never put that fucking thing on my head.
you would never put
Like
that
the
thing in your
same
head.
way I see people wearing masks still, and I'm like, you're a fucking dickhead. If I saw someone with that on, I'd be like, you're gone. Like you're lost in the sauce. Like
I was half tempted to buy a set of these just to like watch fucking movies at home, dude.
oh my god.
Because you can put one of these on and then actually project like 100-foot screen
Oh my
and
god.
feel like you're at a massive fucking cinema or something, just on your ones, like eating popcorn.
I just imagine like coming home and like it's that scene from South Park where Randy Marsh is like come all over himself.
This is spooky ghosts.
It's just like you on the bed, like ferociously jacking off. That's precisely what it would be used for. Like that's precisely what all of this is going to be used for. It's going to be used to jack off.
For jacking off.
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, there's a high chance that people are going to use it for jacking off.
Of course.
This is the face I would make if I had a set of these goggles.
While you're jacking off.
I'd just be walking around everywhere like,
This is
I'm
what.
so much cooler than you because I've got these fucking sweet goggles.
If I fucking. This is why I said that if you have these goggles, you're a pervert and you should be on the fucking.
You could look at
registry.
You could look at ladies all day, and they would have no idea where you were looking. They'd have no idea. You just shot off the front eyes, or you project the front eyes to just be like looking around everywhere like this, but really your eyes are like looking straight there. They're just looking straight.
Computer
straight
enhanced.
Yeah, exactly. Just be loads of guys on the bus just looking at you, just like fucking doing this in real life. Trying to zoom into your tits.
No.
This with like an AR twist combined with Google's Gemini. Bang, dude.
It's a Coomer's paradise.
Bang, dude.
It's a fucking Coomer's paradise.
You are basically Iron Man without the rockets. I'm just saying, you are basically Iron Man without the rockets. You're living in the future. You've got like fucking AI assistant. Oh shit.
We've cut off. You've got an AI assistant jack off machine that you can have strapped to you
Oh no.
at all times.
That looks so.
Yeah, that doesn't look good. That looks scary.
There we go.
There we go. We're back. Well, yeah. You have if you paired this and what did you say? Google's
Gemini, because it takes all the visual information.
Yeah,
all that other stuff. It's all about that spatial computing shit. It's going to be like
you never have to
next
leave
thing.
Plato's cave again. You can just like. Phew.
Yeah. Well, no, seriously. Like even like the fucking the M1 chips from Apple that came out like a couple of years ago. They're fucking nuts, and you can do so much on them. And they've already brought out the M3 chips, which are fucking available for next year. And that's not because there's programs that even really need that. Like, who's really editing an entire fucking high action Top Gun level movie on their laptop on the go? Okay,
Yeah.
Not that many people, but that's like kind of where they're spec to be essentially at this point. Why are they spec like that? Not for any other reason than that you can fucking jack in one of these mental fucking headsets and then do literally next level fucking computing shit with it. Like, that's what it's all about. It's gearing to this like next stage of interactivity with the digital world.
Yeah, and it's scary. Aren't you scared?
It's kind of exciting, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
It's kind of
Jake's
exciting.
like, give me the mark of the beast.
It's kind of exciting a little
Give
bit.
it to me right now.
It's kind of exciting.
I'm like, no, I'm scared. I'm frightened.
I'm much more excited by the way that this is going than the way it was going in China, being used for like surveillance and like face tracking.
Well, don't you think any of this shit is going to be used for surveillance? Of course it is.
Well,
it's going to be used for surveillance. Like, even Pokemon fucking Go was used for
really
fucking
upsetting.
surveillance. This is what I mean.
That was
like,
really
all they have,
upsetting.
like with you, all they have to do is dangle a few trinkets, the possibility of
still don't believe
video
that it was
gaming
used for
and all of this
surveillance.
fucking bullshit, and you're just like, yeah, take my data, daddy. Give me the mark of the beast. Like,
I still don't feel
give
like
it to me.
Pokemon Go was actually used in that way.
Yeah, it was, Jake.
I feel like people just got smart to where the Pokestops were, and then they set up their own fucking vans there. I don't think they were trying to lead us around.
Jake. Jake.
I think this was a conspiracy that you cooked up.
Oh,
in your
so all
head.
of a sudden now I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, I think you got on the
Mr.
phone.
Aliens.
I think you like
Pokemon Go is a bridge too far for you.
You were like on the phone to Umar Johnson, and he was like telling you the tea, saying, "Look, sister, they're trying to fucking lure you and take your black dollars away, and they're using the Pokemons to make it happen."
You're being super racist right now.
that's what happened.
You're being ultra racist right now.
And then you repeated that to me, and it got me really upset that Pokemon would do such a thing to me.
It would take your black dollar.
Yeah.
Stop talking. Behave yourself. What were we fucking talking about?
We're talking about fucking Linus, dude, and his amazing fucking goggles in the future.
Well, what was I saying? We're talking about surveillance. Of course, this stuff is going to be used for surveillance. As soon as what was it? That Humane company. They always give themselves some sort of like horrible, ironic name.
Yeah.
Showed the video of their pin thing. That was the immediate thought that came to mind for me was hang on, are we off chat?
This is what it said last time again, so I feel like we should just keep going, and then it will.
For fuck's sake! Hang on, let me check and see. 2 seconds, guys. I don't know what's going on with OBS tonight.
Me neither. I don't know what the
It says
doing.
we're still working according to.
I would just not worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it.
Just carry on going.
Learn to love the bomb.
Yeah, as it goes.
What was it saying? Yeah, that's the thing. The surveillance was exactly what I was thinking as soon as I saw the pin and all of this stuff. And of course it's going to be used for that. If even Pokemon Go was used for that, of course. So how can you be pointing the finger at China and being like, oh, over there it's this horrible cyberpunk dystopia, but over here we have like Red Dead Redemption on VR and all of my favorite things. It's just wishful thinking.
It's true though.
And I know that you like to have I know you like to have these flights of fancy, Jake.
It's true though,
but you must come back down to earth.
Do
The
they
Butlerian jihad is afoot.
Do they even have Red Dead Redemption in China? Like, that's actually like a really good point.
I'm sure they do, Jake. I'm sure they have Red Dead Redemption in China. But yeah, that's kind of I mean, I'm frightened, but it is exhilarating, but at the same time it's frightening, and I'm not going to deny that I am exhilarated by it. Like even as much as I'm skeptical about the notion of having this like weird companion. As a writer, the idea of being able to externalize anything that's abstract is like, you know, really appealing to me. But then again, you don't, it's like the fear of having your process become degraded or becoming too reliant on, you know, and becoming complacent and, you know.
I don't really think it's going to solve like poverty or anything crazy like that. I think it will have the almost total opposite effect and like totally fuck up the economy. And then you're left in a situation where, well, the game is over. The winners are the winners and the losers get UBI. And it's a little bit like, oh wow, okay. Or we're gonna turn into some sort of like Hunger Games, Squid Games type shit, which I'm all for. Like I'm all up for a physical fucking challenge, dude. Like I'm all up for that.
I'm not.
Do it now whilst I'm in my 30s rather than in 20 years when I'm in my 50s. Or do it when I'm in my 70s and then everyone will be rooting for me like the old guy in Squid Games.
When you can milk it for sympathy.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, I'm just a poor old man. And then actually I fucking wreck it and I fucking jack like Arnie and I just smash everyone. Like, that would be great.
Oh my God. Oh dear. Oh my God.
You don't think you would fare well in Squid Games?
No, I really don't think I would fare.
I don't think you would either.
Yeah.
Unless you stuck with me.
Unless I was with you and you were there to protect me, I don't think I would fare very well in Squid Games.
Unless you stuck with me. But even then, we would have to play marbles and I'd fucking win. And then, you know.
And then it would be over for me, unfortunately. Yeah. I would hope, like I said, I hope you would let me win in that scenario.
I don't know.
Wow.
Because it's like, how much faith have I built up in you that you would win the final? Because it's only worth it.
Wow, Jake, if you think I'm going to win, otherwise
if you don't think you're going to win, then it's just delaying the inevitable anyway.
Wow, Jake.
I think I've got a fucking good chance of winning, so it's like I'm not just going to give up
Jake,
for nothing.
That's so awful
and
pragmatic.
Standard.
Jesus.
It's pretty standard.
Wow.
I'll pour one out for you if I get there. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
wow.
That's how you have to
so
do
mean. Should we move on to our last topic then?
We shall.
Of the evening. So, speaking of
seems to be
Twitter
a pattern in our generation.
Yeah.
Which I disagree with.
Well, anyway, speaking of Twitter toxicity, this clip was making the rounds, and people were very angry about it.
I don't blame them.
Well, let's watch it. I had the opposite reaction.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let's watch it.
Terrible.
Am I awful?
Where's the volume on this then? Where's that working?
We're Dinks. We go to Twitter.
Oh, you've got headphones plugged in, I think. That's why. There we go.
We're Dinks. We go to Trader Joe's and workout classes on the weekends.
We're Dinks. We get into snobby hobbies like skiing and golfing.
We're Dinks. We can go to Florida on a whim.
We're Dinks. We're already planning our European vacation next year.
Dinks. We get a full 8 hours of sleep and sometimes more.
We're Dinks. We get desserts and appetizers at restaurants.
We're Dinks. We can play with other kids and give them back.
We're Dinks. We still do it 3 times a week.
We're Dinks. We spend our discretionary income on $8 lattes.
We're Dinks. We max out our 401ks, Roth IRAs, and HSAs.
We're Dinks. We don't use our kids or dog as an excuse to leave a party. We just leave.
It sounds like us.
No.
I mean, it's not our... that's the thing. These sorts of people make the fact that they don't have kids their whole identity. Whereas, for me, it's just the stage of life that I'm in. I don't see it as my
it's
entire
more like,
being.
Yeah, because it's more like this is a...
that's the difference between people like us and people like
this. This is an active choice that I'm making because I wouldn't be self-sacrificial to have a child. And I could never see myself doing that because look at what I'd be giving up. And let me list all the things that are how great my life is compared to yours, where you don't get sleep because you are up with the fucking baby and you can't max out your savings or whatever because you got a fucking kid and you can't go to Europe next year if you're an American or whatever the fuck because you've got a fucking kid.
But that's their happiness. Who cares? That's my problem. Maybe. Is if that's their happiness, who gives a shit? I feel like if your happiness is the thing that you've chosen, why the fuck do you care
Looking back at this video again on a second time, I feel like I actually just hate them more than what they're saying.
I think they've opened them. What I think is, social media is a massive vector for projections, and people like this open themselves up to the projections of others. But even then,
so.
a lot of what people are saying about this is their own projections.
They're like physiognomy and delivery, body language. Not my people.
But the thing is, in my mind, I feel like if you're happy with the choices you've made, this would not trigger a response from you at all. And I feel like there are a lot of sort of aging millennials who have kind of reached that stage of adulthood where they are now bogged down with adult responsibilities.
No, I don't even think it's that.
And they resent the youth of these sorts of people.
I think that actually most people are not in relationships.
You think that that's what it is?
If we believe all of the studies and all the things that people are saying, well, how can we be simultaneously going through a loneliness epidemic at the same time as most people being in relationships? That doesn't make any fucking sense. So most people are single, and most people have ideas about society. And especially on a platform such as this one, there are all sorts of ideas roaming around things like population, what's shifting around with those populations and all this kind of stuff. What we got here is a couple of fucking waspy fucking whites in America choosing not to
procreate
and have Americans. At the end of the day, so even it was despite fucking race or any of that other shit, not have more Americans, right?
But there are Americans that aren't white, though.
Sure, but the point is, like, it's not even like about a race thing. It's a replacement thing, right? A replacement rate thing. And so you get down to, and this is like what's been in the news recently with Italy, and obviously it's been in the news forever with Japan, with that fucking crazy sociologist dude with the fucking crazy glasses
that we showed that was like all the old people should kill themselves. Yeah.
And Italy's even worse. 1.3. I think a healthy replacement rate is something like 2.1. And so I think that the reason why there's like an emphasis on freedom of movement and all those things is to kind of make up for the fact that people aren't having kids. And at the end of the day, why aren't people having kids? It's the same answer whether you're in fucking Italy, whether you're in fucking Japan, whether you're here, whether you're in America. It's because you don't feel like you can economically manage and do that realistically and live any kind of reasonable kind of lifestyle still, right? Like exactly this, like you would be giving up so much just for a baby, right? It doesn't seem worth it for a lot of people. And I think also the idea of you needing to be like ambitious, like Tim Dillon made this joke on his podcast the other day or a couple of weeks ago of like, everybody feels like they're fucking one shit psychology book away from being like the next CEO of like a shit hot company. It's like, no, you're Gary that delivers the mail. And you should be okay with that. And like there is something like, it's kind of toxic and catty and really mean what he said, obviously, in the classic Tim Dillon fashion. But I think the difference is not like, know your place, peasant, but it's more like people were less ambitious, I feel like. People were much more satisfied
with a regular
and content in family and like those kind of old values, those old things. Now
it's about personal achievement.
People are not. People are like hungry to strive and do this and get likes and fucking whatever the fuck. All these sorts of things.
Personal achievement. So family is almost seen as like an impediment to personal achievement. But the thing is, I think a lot of my whole thing is I think a lot of that gets projected onto young people. Dinks, again, dual income, no kids, who are just enjoying themselves. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want to have children or it's not something that they plan to do down the line.
I think it's that declaring yourself as a dink is basically like putting the flag down. And declaring a side.
But then
like,
I don't
do
think
with everything in culture these days.
Of course. But I don't think it's even that simple. I think that label also gets put on you, even if it's not something that you identify with as an identity. And that's how insidious these new quote unquote mimetic identities have become.
That just feels like bullying. It's not really the same.
Well, that's kind of how
these people
works.
posting this video is different than you seeing a couple and projecting onto them in real world or something like that, right? Like you making a public post in this fashion does put a flag like in
of
a
course,
side.
Of course.
Oh,
but even
we do
then,
this
but
because
even then,
we've made these great life decisions.
But even if somebody does, but the thing is, even if somebody in my worldview, even if somebody does identify that way and that's how they want to identify, why does that bother you? Like,
well, I think that
that's them. That's their happiness.
I think
Find your own.
I think
like,
that you
who cares?
you can't be
unless they're saying your way of life is like inferior.
You can't be simultaneously like upset with like the country shifting and changing through the need of mass migration and like people coming in from war-torn parts of the world and all sorts of places, because it's not just on like these poor devils. Like, no, it's because, dude, we have stuff that needs filling and like you need people that are going to bring families and all this other shit from other places to fill the gap of people that are economically crushed in your own fucking country that can't do that anymore. So like it's you can't that's kind of I think that's going to be a frustration for people.
Yeah, big time.
Is that they see this like topic of immigration come up in England, it's come up.
Oh yeah.
In fucking in America, it's come up with the border and all these other things. I think in almost every country, it's like a really big topic right now.
Oh yeah.
And it's sort of like how do we like have? I don't even think anyone has the conversation in a meaningful way where they would even be critical of the fact that we need immigration. Like, we shouldn't need immigration. People should be able to want to have a family, and not only want to do that, but actually, want to have a family.
Yeah.
Because that's like a really healthy human thing to do. And not only that, but there is like, you know, in this fucking world where it is still fucking nations and shit, it is kind of all like, good for society, good for the place of the world that you live in, that you've replaced yourself from when you're gone. Like, just from a fucking society point of view, not even like a nationalistic.
But I think, but even
Germany
using,
shit.
but
like,
even then, using, I think part of the problem is even using like England as an example. People would be more inclined to feel the onus to replace themselves if they felt like there was a shared culture that they were contributing to.
Oh yeah, what they're
and the only
people for.
The only people who really feel that way are the people who are like, oh, you know, the sort of white, indigenous, British, blah, blah, blah. They're the only ones who really have that sort of anxiety because they have like a quote unquote culture. Whereas the sort of general culture or the general sort of notion of Britishness has become so eroded that the idea that we're replacing ourselves or contributing to some kind of future or some sort of culture that's sort of building itself up, it's just not there. And I think that's probably the reason why some people adopt this sort of nihilistic attitude. And I'm not going to say that there's no nihilism behind the whole Dink thing. Like there certainly is. But I also think that it's weird. You run into problems when you like project sociological things on like individual people. And like, I feel like Dink is a stage of life, not an identity. And it's a fun stage of life that people should celebrate, in my opinion. It is really fun to be a young couple with dual income and very little responsibilities. I feel like everybody should have the experience of having that chunk of time before they have like kids to enjoy themselves.
Do you think it might also be...
Not everyone's lucky enough to, but like it's a good thing if you can have that experience. Do you think and then eventually, you know.
Do you think it might also be that there's a growing amount of like resentful Gen X people on the internet that then see young couples like that and it's like, ooh.
Yeah, I do think some of it is projection. I do. Because how do you know they're not going to have kids in
I've
2 years?
I've just been divorced for a second time and now look at these whippersnappers in the prime of their life.
Yeah, like how do you know they're not going to have kids in 2 years? They're just enjoying themselves and like who gives a shit, you know, type of thing. But then of course I am critical of the whole kind of like nihilistic, you know, lack of regard for posterity. But I don't necessarily blame people either, because we don't have a culture that necessarily facilitates people feeling like they that obligation, you know?
Yeah, well, it's just like there is no for the greatness of Rome, is there?
No, there isn't.
Do you know what I mean?
Unfortunately.
It's like, oh, for the greatness of Rome. It's like, well, is it great? Like,
No.
I don't think it is.
No.
I don't think
it's that great.
I think it's so great. I think it's like had a rough time.
Yeah.
I think it's been abused.
Yeah.
I think this country has been thoroughly abused and looted by its elites.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of harsh to kind of judge it in any in any other way. But I don't really. It's not if I was to have kids, and it would be not for any other selfish reason, if I'm honest, other than like I would like that experience.
Yeah.
I think that is a
For love
meaningful-
more than anything. And that's
Yeah.
I think the reason why people aren't having kids these days to contribute
not
to some
loving.
great they're not having kids these days to contribute to some great nation or empire for tribal reasons or whatever. The reason that people have kids now is mainly because of love and emerging out of like bonds of love. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a different type of society that's forming organically, I guess. And I guess we'll have to see where it ends up in the future. But I do see like ethnic anxiety bubbling up in a way that I have never seen before in my lifetime anyway, surrounding birth rates and this and that.
It's just not even
which
a
is
band-aid.
kind of
It's just
frightening.
It's just not even a band-aid on the problem. It's just it makes everything worse, because on top of like a part of the reason that contributes to the economic uncertainty of people being able to feel confident to raise a family and to do that is the housing crisis, which is again not only a UK thing but also seemingly an international affair.
Yeah.
So, you know, by just it's okay that people aren't having kids because we just get all these other people from all these war-torn places in the world. It's like, great, okay, well, they also need houses to live in and stuff as well. So like, where, like, it just doesn't help anything, and and then it will fucking breed resentment, or whatever the fuck else,
ethnic
because,
tension,
like,
hatred.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's also like, and there's also a very, very fucking reasonable point of like, we shouldn't be involved in any of this shit. Let's not get fucking involved or fucking take anyone's fucking problems. All these people have gone through Europe, the entirety of Europe, where they are not chased and fucking under threat, but they've managed to get all the way to Cali and need to get to England very specifically. Like, yeah, I understand the points there. That's a pretty fucking valid question, mate, if I'm honest. Like, you know, why is it specifically England? Why is it specifically that crossing? How is it? Because they do have to come a very fucking long way. But that conversation would never even be had by Labour or like any lefty or whatever the fuck other side of a debate on that issue, which is really frustrating because there are really obvious societal things that are happening which you need to be able to discuss about in a fairly
and the fact that
way.
you can't contribute to the resentment and the hatred that's bubbling up in society, like I said, in a way I have never seen before in my lifetime. It's frightening. There are lots of fissures in the collective unconscious right now, and like ethnic hatred is not something we want bubbling up to the surface. But it seems like it's happening, and that scares me.
It's inevitable in the situation that they put everything.
Yeah,
in.
it is, because they repress, and that's precisely what British multiculturalism has been for the last, 50 years. It's been like a massive one big act of repression, of psychic repression, and I'm terrified of what's going to emerge. And I mean, that doesn't mean there haven't been wonderful things that have come out of British multiculturalism, but the way that, and the wonderful things have come out of working class communities, organic, ground up stuff. But the stuff that's been disastrous has been the top down stuff. The top down stuff that's been imposed from above has been so haphazard and so disastrous, and has also forced people to repress very clear and present tensions. And those tensions are now coming to a head in a very big way in Europe. and I'm terrified. Yeah, it's scary.
It's gonna be.
It's scary.
It's gonna be a pretty weird year next year. Is my prediction.
Yeah, I'm feeling it in my bonesy bones.
All of the different various pressures are getting crazy. I didn't even remember until last week that it was fucking building up for the US election next year.
Yeah.
So on top of UFO disclosure, fucking AI breakthroughs, fucking like potential war, potential like world war. You've then also got a fucking American election running up as well, and everybody undoubtedly like screaming endlessly about Donald Trump.
And then on top of that, racial and ethnic tensions are at an all-time high.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
I think that's why everyone's sort of hoping on AI. They see that as like a more like rational way that this supercomputer is going to come up with an answer to sort of fix a lot of this stuff. And it's like, oh, it's going to fix the climate crisis and all of these other things. And it's like, I'd love it if you gave it this really big detailed, like, oh, look, ChatGPT, these are all of our problems. What do we need to do? And it goes, oh, well, you actually need to, like, tax the wealthy a lot more. And, like, you know, like, do all these things, like, oh, that was a bad ChatGPT. That was not this is a communist biased ChatGPT. We can't have this. It's like any actual like real world thing that's right there in front of you is not a solution.
No.
We need this AI thing to like do something to give us an answer that is not apparently obvious to the very intelligent people that are 7 billion of us on the fucking planet. We need this fucking computer to come up with a special answer that is going to magically unlock how we organize ourselves. Like, I think that's a fucking really stupid bet to have, if I'm completely fucking honest, on what's going to shift humanity. My bet is still firmly on the UFOs.
Me too.
My bet is still firmly on the UFOs, on the thing
UFO camp
that will drastically
we need to
change.
before we end the stream. We need to tell our UFO story.
We did. Well, you think that we saw a UFO?
I'm pretty sure.
I think there's a good chance that we did see a UFO.
Well, let's tell the story. So we're at my aunt's house. And my brother came and he was being an asshole. So
bad energy.
He came with bad vibes. So we went to the garden to smoke a cigarette. And me and Jake now have a habit of looking up at the sky every time we're out and we see a night sky. And we also have this star tracking app on our phone where that like sort of shows you the different placements. So Jupiter was high up in the sky, super bright, and then on the other side was the constellation of Aquarius and not Uranus, sorry, Saturn.
Pisces.
It was Saturn.
It was Pisces.
Aquarius was
Pisces. It was the fish.
Oh, was it Pisces?
We were talking about the fish. We were talking about how is that a fucking fish?
Oh, never mind. It was Pisces on the other side. And basically, we were looking up at the two constellations, and all of a sudden, this like weird orb appeared. It looked like a star, and it appeared near Jupiter. I thought it was a plane, but it looked too far away to be a star, to be a plane. It looked more like a star, and it was also moving far too quickly to be a plane as well. Like it got over to where Pisces was
across the sky
in like 15 seconds, basically.
Which is not like, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you watch a plane, it takes a hell of a lot longer than 15 seconds for it to get from where you first saw it to basically you trying to squint and make it out on the horizon. I say UFO story obviously because it's unidentified flying object. It could have been anything that we saw. But the thing I find the most interesting about the phenomena, and I'm probably going to get into this in my next video that I'm working on for my channel, which is about the UFO phenomenon, is that both of us are camera happy millennials, and we both had our phones in our hands because we were using the star app to look up at the sky. But as we were watching this UFO, neither of us looked at our phones once or tried to take a picture. We were just sort of in awe at this like numinous like display in the sky, and it was like this really profound thing because that's like a
common theme among people who claim to have seen apparitions in the sky or these sorts of things. They always say that either they forget to take a picture, or even though they had a camera or a piece of technology on them, they just felt compelled not to reach for it.
They were just too in awe. And like,
and that's what I find so, and that's why I think, like you said a minute ago, the UFO thing is the thing that's going to change humanity. I really believe that, because it's the thing that forces you not to look down at the black mirror. It forces you to look up in the sky. It forces you. It's a forcing mechanism. It forces you to pay attention to the heavenly realms rather than the lower fallen realms of technology and bullshit that we're constantly inundated with. And that experience was quite profound for me, because I stepped away from it thinking, I had my phone in my hand. Why did I not try to capture this thing at all?
I did. I tried to zoom in on it to see if I could see like the plane lights flashing on it, because I wasn't 100% sure, obviously, what we were seeing. And I would love to be like, oh yeah, I've fucking seen another UFO, because I have seen one before. The reason why I'm not like...
Did you capture it on the thing? Were you able to capture
No, because it looked like just like a little white dot.
Well, that's another part of what's said. That's another congruency, is that even when people do try to capture them, it's either abstract or distorted or strange.
No, it looked like I could see it, because it was really far away. But it was like... I was just trying to zoom in to see if I could see like a red flash on it, because even if you zoomed in, then you would probably still see that red flash on it from like the lights of the plane or something like that. But I couldn't see anything like that. But it didn't, like, the reason why my first one I know for a fact was a UFO was because of the way it moved, and what it did was so fucking not anything that anything does.
But I'm not talking
this kind of just
I'm not talking about the reality or unreality of it. I don't care about that. I'm talking about the effect that it has on your consciousness. Even the very visionary rumor of the UFO and the fact that it's making people look up into the sky and wonder, that in and of itself is numinous and magical. I don't care if what we saw was a weather balloon. Like, I had like a special moment, and that's why I think the UFO phenomenon and the fact that it's sort of in the zeitgeist as this visionary rumor is so important right now, and why I have more hope in that being the thing that, like, makes us think in a different way and have a sort of metanoia than AI and all of that sort of bullshit. I see more potential for numinosity in the UFO stuff than I do in like the AI aspect of things. But anyway, look, Jake's yawning already.
It's bedtime.
It's bedtime for us. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for the stream. And yeah, if you haven't already, please do check out our Tibetan Book of the Dead episode, which is up on the channel. It's our first episode of book club. And if
maybe we'll put more up as well. Who knows? Like, it's quite fun.
Maybe, so if you're good, if we're feeling generous during the holiday season. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us, and we will catch you later. Goodbye.
Bye.